This is Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like.
We're your hosts, Nik and Moiz. Let's start talking about money. Limited Supply listeners should think about adding a mobile app to their marketing mix. Mobile apps can be customized by Tapcart, and they can improve your retention strategy and make your customers stickier. It'll provide a really smooth way for customers to shop online, and it's the best way to engage customers wherever they are. Limited Supply listeners can get 2 months free at tapcart.com/limited.
Nik, we recorded an episode in Los Angeles in person, and we were at one of these new recording studios, and it looks like we had a little bit of technical trouble with the camera that was on me. And so we still want to get this episode out because it's fantastic. But if you're watching this episode on YouTube or somewhere with video, at some point, the camera that's pointed at me is going to go away, and we just want to give you a heads up, a technical issue that we had on our end. I tried to get everyone to replace me with an image of either Jeff Bezos or Darth Vader, but that didn't work out. So I mean,
you're
I don't know what you're
basically
going to
just
see.
a tanned version of Jeff Bezos, so...
And a whiter version of Darth Vader.
All right, cool. Enjoy the episode.
Awesome. Recording at the end of February, bunch of stuff just happened. Grow LA's over. You were the MC there. You made $1 billion while you were MC. I love it. It was such a good. It was great. I loved it. Look at the smile you've got on your face.
The biggest smile on my face.
I really hope people are watching this on YouTube and not listening to Apple Podcasts, because your smile is like guilty and proud at the same time.
Yep.
Okay, a bunch of stuff to chat about. We're talking about Grow LA. We'd love to talk a little bit about Mini Katana, because those guys were there at the dinner last night.
Yeah.
Some stuff about DTC brands and being on Amazon. But before all of that, I want to start with this really quick thing about Curie and the Today Show. So Sarah, who runs a deodorant brand called Curie.
Of course.
She was on the Today Show this morning, and she called me a couple days ago, and she's like, we're going to be on the Today Show. We know we are going to be on there, and we're not sure what to do because we're running low on inventory. So should we waitlist ourselves, or should we do pre-orders, or should we just accept money and then email everyone and say, hey, look, we're back ordered. Should we give you a refund, or what should we do?
And was this just normal GMA, or this was like Deals and Steals?
This was the Today Show. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was normal Today
Probably
Show
normal.
and not Deals and Steals or anything.
Got it.
So I pinged her. So ultimately, we had this quick conversation, and she's like, "Great, I'm gonna accept orders and not tell anyone that we're low on inventory, and then I'm gonna go back to all of these customers and email them right away and say, hey, look, we're out of inventory. It's gonna take us 2 weeks to ship this thing. Do you want a refund? We can give you a refund right now, or we can ship it, and here's 10% off your next order." So she was on the Today Show today, and
for context, she was like on She was on the Shark Tank.
She's been on Shark Tank.
She was on Good Morning America.
Crushes
She's on QVC all the time.
all the time.
So she's really good at this playbook of using TV as a channel.
Definitely. Yeah. She might be the best direct-to-consumer brand at it, actually.
Agreed.
Or like, the one who's probably like newest, but using this as a real backbone of their like a growth engine. So she texted me today, and she's like, we've had 1,864 orders from the Today Show.
Wow.
And so I was like, how does this compare to Shark Tank? Because I knew that she'd been on Shark Tank like a few months ago, and she's been on some reruns. And so she gave me the numbers, and I was like, can I share these numbers on the pod? And she's like, yes. And these are hot off the press. Like, she just texted me this 2 seconds ago. And she says, here are the number of orders and site visitors, including Amazon, with the Today Show versus Shark Tank. So Shark Tank, when she aired on Shark Tank, she had 232,000 visitors to her website and 10,200 orders.
Wow.
And I don't know what her AOV is, but I'll tell you, native, our AOV was around $25. So if her AOV is the same as ours, that means Shark Tank, the day she aired on Shark Tank, would be $250,000 in revenue. So anyway, 232,000 visitors, 10,000 orders, Shark Tank. Today Show, so far today, she was just on there today, day's not over, 22,000 visitors, 1,900 orders. So about an order of magnitude less, in terms of visitors. So 1/10 of visitors, a higher conversion rate, 1,900 orders, instead of 10,200, but about 10% of the visitors to the site.
It's a really high conversion rate, 10%.
That is a really high
Super
conversion
high.
rate. I bet I'm not surprised that it's a high conversion rate, because the Today Show does a better job probably selling your product. There's no
Also the
questions
people
being
coming are probably qualified versus Shark Tank. People are just sitting on their couch, and exploring what it is.
And like Shark Tank, they say bad things about you, right? And your business. And like they're sort of like pressing on the negative parts of your business to find out if there's resistance there.
Right.
The Today Show, they're probably just doing a good job of selling your product and acting as a salesman. And then she says during Shark Tank re-airs, you get $20,000 to $50,000 in $20,000 to $50,000 visitors in surprise traffic spikes here and there when you do a Shark Tank re-air. So 10 to 25% of the same of the number of visitors when you're being re-aired on Shark Tank.
That's pretty impressive. Even
Those are
for
such
just
good
re-airs.
stats. I can't believe nobody knows this stuff. Like, I had no idea that this happened.
Wait, so it's $250,000 on the first airing of revenue of Shark Tank.
So 232,000 visitors, 10,000 orders, and she didn't say the revenue number. To be clear, I'm speculating as to what the revenue number is because I'm using the AOV I had at Native. She's selling deodorants times the number of orders she had.
I saw another guy on Twitter share his Shark Tank re-air number, and he got 5,490 sessions. Oh, or no, sorry, that was all day. You got about 3,700 sessions at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Wow, that's not very good.
Yeah, that's low.
But that's also somebody who didn't get a deal on the show. That's pretty good for not getting a deal.
And I saw this tweet. It's weird.
He sells it's that basketball return machine. So you shoot the ball, and the ball drops, the ball gets
super niche product. So a lot of people are going to see it and be like, "That's not for me."
Yeah,
right,
deodorant,
$2,000 AOV.
$2,000 AOV.
Yeah,
that's more than the basketball hoop.
Yeah,
wow,
that's bananas. Okay.
My reaction to all this Curie stuff is how many deodorant brands are there? 10,000.
There seem to be a lot of deodorant brands.
And who's in the market for a new deodorant brand?
There was one I just saw. They're marketing themselves as an anywhere deodorant. It's normal deodorant, but they're like, you can put it behind your legs, like behind your knees. Yeah. And there's one now too that's a paste. You can put it between your toes.
Yeah. What's it called?
So
Do you
weird.
remember?
No, I don't remember.
Will you look it up? Is it called Lume deodorant? Lume?
I know they've been going really heavy. Carp for sure, because they're like the sweat resistant or the people who like excessive sweating.
Yeah.
Lume has been going really hard lately. They got acquired by Harry's, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they've been going really hard with founder ads lately.
They've been doing founder ads for a year, I think. Like every time I watch television, I see the founder, Shannon. I'm like, I chat with Shannon. I love Shannon. She's a wonderful human being. She used to be a doctor. And like, her story is incredible. Not to sidetrack our conversation, her story is incredible. When she was starting Lume deodorant, she was a doctor, and she's like, I believe in this so much. I'm gonna go get a mortgage on my house in Minneapolis and take that money and invest it in my business.
Wow.
And quit my job as a doctor. And I was like, you've got the biggest balls of any entrepreneur I know. That you're able to like quit your job as a doctor, mortgage your house, and put that money into a startup.
Yeah,
like I wasn't even willing to spend $2,000 on my business, and she mortgaged her house. It was really incredible.
What's amazing is so on Amazon, Native is the #1 best-selling deodorant. Number 2, 3, 4, 5 are all Lume deodorant.
Yeah. I knew she was 2 through 4. Yeah, I didn't know she was 5 too. I'm sure that 2 through 5 eclipses #1. I bet 2 through 4 eclipses #1.
Yeah, actually, she's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8.
Yeah.
And Native is 1 and 9.
Yeah, that is not good for Native. But in any case, just going back to it, 250,000 visitors, give or take, $250,000 in revenue is my guess, 10,000 orders from Shark Tank. The Today Show, 22,000 visitors, 1,900 orders, using the same AOV, which I'm guessing the amount, $50,000 in revenue.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. It's great. And she's amazing, and I love her brand. In fact, my mom saw her brand. I'm not sure if mom showed you this.
Yes.
We should mention who you are.
Yes.
I just realized that.
We should introduce
We just started, and I was just like, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I just realized other people might. But I mentioned it to mom, and mom's like, this branding is better than yours. And then I mentioned it to Sarah, and Sarah's like, yeah, my branding is better. Okay, yeah.
What's also amazing is Curie is at Equinox and SoulCycle. I don't know how she did those deals.
I'm not sure either.
Killer deal. That is like a dream deal for any brand.
The Equinox one is spectacular because it looks so good. I talked to Sarah about it, and she's like, oh, I don't love the way it looks. I was like, this looks fantastic. It's everywhere. The branding looks great.
Yeah. And in SoulCycle, they have a poster card with a QR code and a message from Sarah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And it's a spray deodorant, so you can, reuse it.
Yeah, it has to be a spray deodorant. It's not a Barry. Barry still has like degree. Like whenever I go, I obviously look at these things. Barry's has like degree spray Unilever deodorant that they give to everybody. Okay,
Wait, let's
introduce you
Suli.
really fast because I just, you and I have been sitting down here for a bit, and I just assumed people knew who you were. Okay. You tell us about yourself, sir. No, I'm going to tell people about yourself. So the other person that we have here is my brother, Solomon. Solomon, I'm going to give a quick, a brief history about you. You started a Facebook app. You went to Georgia Tech, worked at Microsoft. You have this great story about dad telling you to quit, which I want you to tell later today. You left Microsoft to start a Facebook app company called Superlatives. Or no, it was called Escut. Superlatives was one of the things on there. And the apps were Superlatives, where you nominate you nominate your friends most likely to succeed, but it's more funny stuff. And then Double Dare, where you double dare somebody to do something on a Facebook app. I think the number one double dare was I double dare you to take a dump in a urinal. Is that correct or not? That's not even a joke. I'm not laughing at that.
I don't think that is the number one.
What was it? Do you remember?
No,
you told me that was the number one.
That was just the one you always went to.
Okay, what was the number one superlative? Do you remember?
The one that I liked the most was wear a bunny costume. Most likely to wear a bunny costume for no apparent reason.
Wow. That's
Most likely
good.
to wear a bunny costume. Wow. Okay, yeah, that is pretty good. Okay. So anyway, so you started this Facebook app company.
Let me do the intro because I don't know where this is going.
What do you mean where this is going? This is going to where you...
I'm
all right,
waiting
keep
for
going,
the
keep
Family
going.
Guy story to hit.
Okay, yeah, great. Go.
Okay, so you started that business. You sold it. Can we talk about the deal terms, or are those still
Sure.
confidential?
Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah. I remember. It was the year I graduated law school, and I was like, fuck, I thought I was doing the cool thing, and I wasn't. So you sold the business to Shervin. Actually, you go ahead and tell the story.
So I started a company kind of by accident. I quit my job at Microsoft, went to Florida where our parents lived in their house, got really bored, was going to move to San Francisco to start a company. And because I got so bored, I just started making this Facebook app. And I launched it. My goal was to get 100 people to use it that were my friends. 1 million people used it in a week. I thought it wasn't a real business, turned it into a real business, and sold it 8 months or 10 months later for $1.75 million. I did it with a partner, so he got 40%, I think, and I got 60%. So I think I got $1,075,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. How old were you?
$1,050,000. What's that?
How old were you?
I was
2008.
26 or 27.
Wow. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell about that story?
Well, there's two other interesting things. One is it was in 2008, so the great financial crisis was happening. So our father, Moiz and I's father, was like, "Hey, give me all your money?" And I was like, "What for?" And he's like, "I'm going to buy houses with it." And so he started buying houses and took all that money and bought houses. And he bought a house for $150,000. And then a month later, that same house sold. The house next door that was the exact same sold for $75,000. So if it was me, I would be like, I'm doing this wrong. I'm overspending. The prices are going to go down. I'm going to stop. Instead, he just kept going and kept buying more houses all the way down as prices kept going down. It took about a year to hit the low point. And then even on the way back up, he kept buying them. So he kind of dollar cost averaged his way to buying something like 100 single family rentals.
What was the second story?
The second story, you tell it.
I'm not sure what you're thinking about.
I thought you were talking about the co-founder I had and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, how did you know that's what I was thinking about?
Because of the evil smile on your face.
Well, I always have that. That's my resting evil smile face.
Yeah.
You had a co-founder who you had ups and downs with when you were starting Escut.
Yeah, we had some ups and downs, and then we sold the company. Super great outcome for both of us because we didn't know what we were doing, and made all this money, even though we made a bunch of bad decisions. So we were both ecstatic financially, but we were just kind of mad at each other and frustrated by the process. So he sent me this email after we sold it that was something like 100 reasons why you suck and why this company was successful in spite of your existence. And for a little while, I would read that email every day, or every like kind of 3 months, because I thought there was good feedback in there. So I'd read it and internalize it, and then I stopped reading it.
Yeah. I remember that experience because when we sold the business, my mom was like, "Oh, you should have gotten more of it, Solomon, because you worked harder than the 60%." And I remember I told my mom, I was like, well, Solomon also got to keep all of the equipment from the business, like all the laptops. And my mother was like, of course he did. His co-founder doesn't know how to use a laptop. You know what I always liked is when you, one of the things that you put on your LinkedIn profile when you sold this business a long time ago was you wrote made exit happen. And I feel like I really internalized that as I was building my businesses, because I was like, okay, you got to land this ship. You can't just fly a ship and crash into the side of a mountain. You've got to find a home for it. And I always thought that was really good. I wrote that on my LinkedIn profile as a result of you writing it on yours.
Fantastic.
How do you know when to decide when to exit? Like, what do you know when is like the 70% up the mountain that you should start having those conversations?
Before we get to that, let's talk about your second business, because I feel like that'll be another.
The other thing I think that's funny about that whole story is one time Moiz and I were having a conversation and he's like, I know I can make you, this is 5 years later, and he's like, I can make you mad by saying a single word. And I was like, there's no way that you could do that. And then he said he was like, yes, I can. And then he said the name of my co-founder for that business in 2008. And I was like, okay, yeah, you can make me mad in one word.
Okay, let's talk about the second business that you started, because it was a much larger business and probably more instrumental to your life. And then we'll get back to e-commerce stuff. But you started this with actually another co-founder who was crazy enough, a classmate of mine in high school. Obviously, we went to the same high school. He was just my year and not your year.
Yeah. I started with a co-founder. I started a company called TinyCo with a co-founder. What's interesting about the co-founder, his name's Ian Spivey. He left high school after 3 years instead of 4 years.
Yeah. Of course, he was in my class. We're like, what happened to that guy? And then he went to MIT. I don't even know if he got a high school degree.
No, I don't think he has a high school degree.
He just has a college degree.
He does not have a high school degree.
You can get a college degree without having a high school degree? Okay.
Yes, you can.
You just have to take that test.
The GED? No, I don't think I think he just does not have a high school degree. He left.
Yeah, he left.
Wow.
And it was amazing because he just left after junior year and everyone else expected for him to come back and he didn't come back.
New level for Indian parents unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. And then he went to MIT and everyone was like, wow, great.
Yeah. Anyway, so you started this business.
I started a company called TinyCo where we made mobile games. They were free-to-play mobile games that we would monetize through in-app purchases. And we started by making our own brands, our own IP, generally things that we call Tiny Blank, like Tiny Chef, Tiny Castle, that kind of thing.
First it started as like Tap Resort, or like Tap
Resort.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It was first Tap Resort. Then we were like, oh no, our name is TinyCo. We bought the name TinyCo for $700. The
domain name, tinyco.com.
Yeah. That's why we chose the name of the
Moiz would have been tinycom.com. And he'd be like, I got it for $7.99.
Right. Yeah, it'd be tinycos.com because it's nativecos.com. And then, we were making our own branded games. And then we realized, this is really hard. We have to pay to acquire customers for our games through Facebook ads. And that stopped working. So we said, let's license brands and make games using those brands. So we licensed Family Guy from Fox for $10 million. We licensed Marvel from Disney for maybe $4 million. And then we licensed...
What was the first one? Sorry, you licensed what?
Family Guy from Fox.
For $10 million?
Yes.
Tell me what that means. What is licensing for $10 million? You just give them $10 million and that's it? You walk away and you're like...
We give them $10 million up front within 30 days of signing the contract. And then we make the game, it generates revenue, and we give them a percentage of the revenue that the game generates.
And that $10 million is an upfront payment against that percentage of the revenue, or it's $10 million plus percentage of revenue?
$10 million is basically an advance against that revenue.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the Family Guy game was $10 million up front, and then they got 40% of net revenue after Apple and our advertising costs.
after Apple, 40% of net revenue. And how long did it take to build a Family Guy game? And what was the cost of that?
I think it took 14 months to build the game and probably cost a couple $1 million, maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million. And then the game has generated, I think, $300 million in revenue.
Okay. I remember when you were building these games, a dad would sometimes come into San Francisco and you'd be like, oh, we're delayed. And he'd be like, what is the problem with this company? He'd be so angry. And then he'd call me up every day for the next year and be like, so when is this game going to be released? And I'm like, I don't work at this company. I'm a lawyer on the other coast of the country. I have no fucking idea when they're going to release this thing. And then he'd be like, what's the problem with this son of mine? He cannot release a game on schedule.
You know, the calls are still the same. Just different business, but same question.
Yeah. Okay, so you launched Family Guy game. It cost $10 million. How much revenue did you say it generated?
$300 million.
Okay, and give us a couple of games that you launched after Family Guy.
We launched a Marvel game called Marvel Avengers Academy, and then we launched a Harry Potter game. It was the first mobile game for Harry Potter called Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery.
Okay. Tell us the economics of that thing. Because I remember somebody had to go meet with I think Andrew Green from your team had to go meet with JK Rowling.
Flew to London, met with JK Rowling. It's called the Blair Partnership. So anyway, we met with them. She approved. Actually, the way this really went down is, so at TinyCo, we raised money from Andreessen Horowitz. And Andreessen would have these meetings where they bring in executives from big companies and you present to them. So they brought in the CEO of Warner Brothers and we presented to them, and so did a bunch of other Andreessen portfolio companies. And so we presented to them our Family Guy game and said, you know, we just made this game. Here's the stats. And the CEO was like, this is awesome. Why don't we work together? And Andrew Green, with all of his amazing foresight, was like, we should make a Harry Potter game together. And he was like, that's a great idea, and turned to this guy on his right and was like, yo, make this happen. And then after that, we got to make a Harry Potter game.
Wow, that's how fast it happened?
It went, like we'd pitched them on that idea a year earlier, and they were hemmed and hawed, and we'd follow up with them every 30 days. After the CEO was like, this is a great idea, let's make it happen, I think he sent an email to somebody, and then that greenlit the project internally inside Warner Brothers. And so within 30 days, it was actually happening.
That's bananas, because that's probably the most valuable real estate. The most valuable IP in the entire world is Harry Potter. Like, never enough content.
Yeah, they under monetize it, and they underproduce the amount of toys and all kinds of content that they could for it.
Okay, so you make this, you make the Harry Potter app, but you sell TinyCo at some point.
Yeah, that's right. So we made the Family Guy game, made the Marvel game, and then signed the Harry Potter license. And that license was, I think, a $10 million license with a 15% rev share or something like that.
So less rev share than Family Guy?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
I would have thought the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just negotiated harder because the first deal we really needed, and this deal we felt like, okay, they're going to make this happen. We got a lot more leverage. So anyway, we make the Family Guy game, make the Marvel game. Both those are doing well. We get an acquisition offer, hire a banker, and sell the business to a company here in LA called Jam City. Okay. That was started by this guy, Crystal Wolf, who was the MySpace founder and CEO.
And one of the things that was crazy was Jam City used to be called SGN.
Yes.
And SGN was actually the name of the guy who also bought your first business.
Yes.
So you sold two businesses to the same acquirer, technically.
Yes, that's right.
But they had different leaders. One was Shervin from, I forgot what fund he worked at. And then the next guy was Crystal Wolf.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's a good sense of your background.
What do you do now?
I'm mostly investing in startups and real estate.
Nice.
Okay. Well, we talked about the Curie information. I'd love to move on to the next thing, but is there anything else that we should talk about there, Solomon? Because I feel like, I just started because I talk to you all the time, and we basically live together. So I'm just like, I forgot we were recording a podcast.
That's good. That's good.
Is there anything else we should mention about your background?
No, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so you want to talk a little bit about Grow LA aside from the, because you were the MC there. I came to the dinner. It was fantastic. Tell us a little bit about Grow LA and what happened.
Yeah, it was a lot smaller than the Grow New York event.
Yeah.
Venue size, much smaller. I think the size was actually good. It was overpacked a little bit. Probably the main stage area was probably like 115% full. But I think it was a good motivator for the people on stage who saw so many people in the seats and then also crowding around.
Did anyone say anything unexpected, or were there any like gems that were dropped? Not really.
Not particularly. So the morning was cool. It started with this guy, Aaron, who started Hush Blankets, weighted blanket company.
Yeah. Wasn't he at the Whaleys too?
He was there also, yeah. So him and this guy, Jake, who started a company called Midday Squares, they basically just talked about like non-traditional ways of creating content that kind of cuts through the noise. So that was pretty informative and cool. There was a couple nuggets in there. Basically just like doing things that are, don't do the same thing everybody else is doing.
Yeah. Did they give you any concrete examples of like, hey, this was really...
Yeah, they had two. One was Hush just launched a mattress, and they had a YouTube video that they played about they basically cut open other mattresses and saw that they were basically the same material as like your dish sponge. And, they went on this whole journey of building a better mattress.
Yeah.
And then Midday Squares did one on TikTok where they got a cease and desist, I think, from Hershey's because their chocolate looked too much like a Reese's peanut butter cup with the packaging. And they were invited to Hershey, Pennsylvania to come and settle the case. But they said, fuck it, we're going to fight it. And they fought it basically through content. I don't know how it ended up, but like they showed the example of content. Then in the afternoon...
By the way, I saw this awesome ad for Midday Squares on Instagram. It's basically like, do you want to know why we started our chocolate business? Spite. Yeah. Nestle and 4 other companies own all the chocolate brands in the world. And we were just like, we want to own one.
Yeah.
Great ad.
Their content in general too is very, I call it like Mr. Beastified. It's very quick cut. You don't, even the text that's flying in, it's there for a second, or it's, there's a video within the text letters itself. It's not just like traditional slow moving graphics or animation type stuff. So that was cool to see.
Are they primarily direct to consumer or brick and mortar?
So Midday Square is primarily brick and mortar.
Okay.
Very small pieces direct to consumer.
Got it. Okay.
They're at Whole Foods and a bunch of other retailers.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, it was a great event. There were a lot of sponsors in the afternoon panels. So I'd say the quality of the questions weren't as deep. It was more like, tell us about what loyalty means to you. Tell us about what a dream partnership is for you. Somebody said Beyonce. There's not that many nuggets that you'll get out of that. But I would say the quality of the people in the room was super vetted. Like the people there were 9 out of 10.
That's awesome.
And so, you saw my Whoop score. My Whoop score after yesterday was like a 16.
Wow.
I was running around the whole place all day.
Yeah.
Slinging hooks pages.
That's awesome. Mine is also a 16 today.
Really?
Yeah. Just from working out at Barry's.
Yeah. But yeah,
what about
overall,
Steven
it was good.
from Cuts? What did he say?
Well, so
I like
that
guy.
was,
that's great.
I was really excited for that. I was supposed to moderate that panel, and then I think a sponsor filled my spot. And that was the one where I was just alluding to where somebody said, what's your dream partnership? And somebody said Beyonce. And Steven said, well, if yours is Beyonce, mine's Jay-Z. So the questions weren't like good enough to where you get nuggets out of it.
Yeah.
They were pretty high level. But Steven was a cool dude. That was the first time I met him.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
There was a great dinner that we both attended that was sponsored by Postscript and Triple Whale. And I don't know why, but my side of the room always gets to start talking about Facebook ads. And so I started...
It's because you start the conversation.
Yeah. Someone mentioned it, actually.
About.
No, someone mentioned it, and I was like, okay, I want to... now I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
And so this guy that I was chatting with is like, we spend a couple $100,000 on Facebook ads a month. And, I like had 2 questions that I was really curious about. One, which was, what is your ratio of Facebook ads versus Google ads? Because I never know what your what like good ratios should look like, or what ratios should look like. And his was like 4 or 5 to 1.
$5 on Facebook to $1 on Google.
Yeah. And I think at Native, it was always like, 15 to 1.
Yeah.
Or like 10 to 1. We never did a good job of like monetizing Google. But I think Google has gotten a lot better at ads. Like there was no performance max campaigns in 2017 like there are today. And the other question we talked about was Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, which have sort of been all of the rage since October, where everyone's spending on Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. And there were two people sitting to my right. I was talking to both of them about ads, and one of them was like, 80% of my budget is Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, and the other 20% is basically retargeting. And the other guy was like, Advantage Plus shopping campaigns worked for me in November and December. By the second half of January, they started dying down, and now we're doing maybe 5 to 10% of our budget on Advantage Plus shopping.
Wow.
Have you seen do you talk to people about that, or like do you get to like what do you see about that?
Well, there's the Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, and then there's Advantage shopping, I guess just placements.
Yeah,
and so. A lot of times for younger brands, we'll do the manual setup with the Advantage placements.
Yeah.
And then for the more mature brands, they've just been ripping on Advantage Plus shopping.
Even recently, there's been no slowdown.
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought that was really interesting, and it got me excited because listening to him, I was like, okay, I need to do a better job of understanding Google Ads because I still don't do a good job of that.
Yeah. What is interesting though is like Facebook has so many different ways to change the way your creative looks so that based on what they think is going to perform better in the app. Google doesn't really do any of that, I don't think. But I think it's a huge opportunity for Google across YouTube and all the other properties they own. But Facebook does it in a way. I can never tell if it like helps or it hurts. The internal team is always like, what the fuck is this? This looks horrible. And the performance team is like, well, we trust in Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, it must help. Otherwise, Facebook wouldn't do it. And they have this thing when you're creating an ad that says optimize in these 4 ways.
Right.
And everyone's like, for some reason, you have to opt into it. It's not opt out. It's opt in to optimize. And of course, you should. And they'll take your title and they'll put a banner at the top and make it larger, or they'll play music or make your image look a little bit brighter. I've never not optimized because I assume that Facebook is going to do the things that are going to result in more sales. Like they're smart about it.
Yeah. I've noticed for like a new brand, launching new ads for a new brand, that stuff doesn't work at all.
The optimized stuff?
Yeah. Just good old manual stuff works best. But for the brands where it has a ton of data on who's purchasing, it does work well.
What about, do you guys ever look at how you can optimize for 1 day view or 7 day click? Do you ever play around with that to see, hey, does one of these work better than the other, or not really? I always use the default. I'm never let me change to 1 day view, 1 day click, or 0 day view, 1 day click. I'm just this is the default, and I don't think it matters that much.
I think view is overcounts it. So I think using the 1 day click, 7 day click is better.
You use 0 day. You would use 0 day view, 1 day click, or 7 day click. Okay.
And I think Pinterest just made a change to their platform where now they're doing last click attribution.
I heard about something like that, but their attribution is crazy, and because it would be 30, 30 in one, and you're 30 days is insane.
Right. Yeah, they would do 30 day click, 30 day view.
Yeah.
And usually we will just do 7 day click, 1 day view, unless there's a reason to do otherwise. If you're spending on a ton of channels, I think 1 day click, 1 day view is the best option. Otherwise, you're double counting from other platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tricky part that I don't know whether it's good or bad is when you send an email campaign on a day, and
how does the view count?
Yeah, how does the view count?
Yeah, because someone's scrolled past your ad so quickly, but it counts it as a view. You know what's really interesting is with Pinterest, when I was running native ads, we would see genuine organic purchases through ads. So you run an ad, and you can have different UTM parameters at the end of an ad versus an organic pin. And I'd see a pin had 14 paid sales and then 3 organic sales. And unlike Facebook, which no post will ever have an organic sale unless it may be an Instagram one if you've got a bunch of followers, Pinterest would genuinely get organic sales, which was really interesting. And I was I counted that towards my paid ads because I was the paid ads are probably driving repins, which are driving these organic sales. But I'm not sure if other people pay attention to that.
Well, Facebook won't show an ad unless you're paying to show that ad, right? Yeah. That post.
Yeah.
Whereas Pinterest is actually showing it organically in the feed.
Yeah. It Facebook would 10 years ago. It's sort of like that. That's what Pinterest is still doing. Okay. Anyway, I had a really good time in that conversation. Was there something else?
I was going to say, I think I heard of a brand recently that is actually spending more money on Google than on Facebook. So their ratio is 60 to 40 on Google and Facebook.
What do they sell?
Women's clothing.
That's surprising. Because I feel like women's clothing is so like discovery oriented.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. They're using like product category terms like, athleisure. Yeah. And using that to drive search, using searches of that to drive conversion.
Okay. That's great. That's, I'm sure that happens. Actually, I think Manscaped, and I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess just based on the number of ads that I see on YouTube versus, Facebook, that they're spending more money on Google than they are on Facebook as well. Nick, I know we always harp on how important it is to optimize your mobile experience. 2 months after streetwear brand Rip and Dip launched their app, total sales increased by 53.2% and then another 43% the next month. App users have proven they're more diehard fans. They have higher conversion rates, a higher revenue per session. They're more likely to convert, have more lifetime value versus mobile and desktop web. Limited supply listeners can get 2 months free at tapcart.com/limited. But okay, I want to move on to two different things. First, before we get there, Suleman, you wrote this thing on our agenda, which was, guess what brand's stock price is up 36% in the last 12 months, and it's worth $3 billion and has a 43x PE ratio. And you told me before we started recording that this was a consumer brand.
Yes.
And is there another hint available, or is that there's no other hints available?
Yeah, there's a bunch of hints. It's profitable.
Well, there's a 43x PE ratio. I know it's profitable.
Yeah, sure. So, so let me just set this up. So I have a trivia question, which is, this is a brand that stock price is up 36% in the last 12 months.
It's publicly traded.
That's publicly traded, whereas the rest of the market has been decimated, is worth $3 billion and has a 43x PE ratio. So a PE ratio that's higher than Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine there's growth. That's why.
It has no revenue growth and no EBITDA growth. Is one hint.
Wow.
No revenue growth or no EBITDA growth, and it's a consumer brand trading at 43x?
Yes. That's one hint. The second hint is it issues a dividend.
Okay.
The third hint is it went public in 1983.
Oh. 1983.
This is a brand you're familiar with. It's a food brand that you have actually consumed. Both of you.
Okay. I would have
Maggie
guessed
noodles.
What'd you say? What was the guess?
Maggie noodles.
Maggie noodles?
No.
1983. I would have consumed it. It's got to be like no revenue growth. No,
it's a candy brand.
Yeah. Jesus. What's Altoid? Like, I don't know enough candy brands that are, it's not Altoids. Is it Mint? Or
no, it's not a Mint. It's a chocolate candy brand.
Is it a Mondelez or Mars?
No, Mars is huge. Like
Mars is huge.
Mars has got to be a $200 billion business. It's not Hershey. It's not Baby Ruth. Because
it's not Tic Tac.
Baby Ruth, I think, is owned by Mars. No.
God, I can't think. A chocolate brand.
Okay, the answer is Tootsie Roll.
Wow.
And Tootsie Roll for the last 5 years has done about $500 million in revenue every year and about $60 million in net income every year.
Wow.
Okay, and so why do they have
2,000 employees? And
for what? Are they hand rolling the Tootsie Roll still? And
2,000 employees.
Why does it have a 43 PE ratio with a dividend under 1%? That's terrible.
I have no idea why it has a 43.
What does that mean? 43 with a dividend under 1%?
So like a PE ratio is basically like for every dollar of earnings you have, what is the valuation of that business? So for instance, Facebook makes so much money and so does Apple, right? That for every dollar of earnings they have, they're only worth about 15x every dollar of earnings. So for $1 in net profit, they're worth 15 times that. And so that basically means that and let's say they were worth 10 times to make numbers easier. Let's say they were worth 10 times that. If you owned a share of Facebook, within 10 years, they would have earned enough to justify the valuation that they have today. Like let's say they're worth $400 billion in 10 years in the next 10 years, they will earn $400 billion based on today's earnings. So 10 years, in the next 10 years, they'll actually earn $400 billion.
Got it.
So for every dollar, they're worth, 10x that. And Facebook hovers around 10 to 15. Apple usually hovers around 10 to 15 too.
Facebook is at 20 and Apple's at 25.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. Usually, brands that are growing really quickly it'll be a very high PE ratio because people are saying, okay, Facebook may be earning $40 billion a year and it's worth $400 billion, but they're not going to go from earning $40 billion a year to $500 billion a year. $40 billion a year is so much already. But if you're like a young Tesla, you're growing so quickly. Everyone's like, okay, Tesla is making up 2% of the car market today. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, Tesla could be 20% of the car market. It could be so much larger. So we think you should have a higher PE ratio because your earnings are going to go up like this. So you're going to justify those earnings. Your earnings are going like this, so you're going to justify those earnings. So you have a high PE ratio.
Got it.
If you're a company that's not growing, you have a really low PE ratio because everyone's like all of your profit is sort of already baked in. So like Victoria's Secret, let me look up Victoria's Secret right now. Market cap. Victoria's Secret has an 8 PE ratio because basically no one's like, what's growing really quickly is Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret is dying. Why do you think Tootsie Roll has a $3 billion market cap and a 48 PE ratio?
There has to be something more going on here. I didn't do any research into it.
How'd you come across it? You just found it?
Yeah, that's a weird thing to look up.
Yeah, I looked it up because a friend of mine, Sean Kuori, was 5 years ago was like, this is a company that we should short because nobody eats Tootsie Rolls anymore. This company is going to die. And the facts are, no, it's not going to die. It's going to keep going.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, great trivia question. I feel like this has got to be a segment that we do.
We should keep
week.
adding this.
Yeah, like that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, great. Let's move on and talk about Mini Katana.
Let's go.
Because Isaac was at the dinner last night. That was the first time I think, or maybe the second time I've met him. Before we get into it, do you want to talk about what Mini Katana is? Because I feel like you probably know better than everyone else.
Yeah, I've actually never been to the site. I've really enjoyed hanging out with Isaac.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, they sell swords. They do it all through organic content. They're not allowed to run ads.
And why aren't they allowed to run ads?
It's a weapon.
Yeah,
swords
exactly.
are weapons.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, who wrote this segment? You wrote it?
No, Solomon did.
So you want to explain it?
So Mini Katana is a brand that sells swords, and Isaac has gotten to $10 million a year in revenue with no paid advertising because it's a weapon, he can't run ads, and just from making content that features the katanas and people saying, what was that in that video, and going and buying it. And specifically uses a ton of short form video, so TikTok and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. In fact, I think yesterday he said he had like 300 million organic views of his videos, like an absolutely insane amount. Don't quote me on that because I was like leaving and he was telling me that, and I was like, wow, that is a fuck ton of organic, views.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday specifically, he hit 12 million views.
Just yesterday.
Just yesterday.
Wow.
So his monthly goal for his team is to hit 300. And I think he's right above 250 right now, generally.
So for context, like let's put a CPM on that. If you say, hey, you've got $20 CPMs, right? So what is that? A cost per 1,000 views? What is that? Is that $150,000 in free marketing? Or am I getting this wrong?
I'm trying to pull up some math here.
Yeah.
But it's not going to have a $20 CPM. Like, TikTok and YouTube ads don't have let's say a $5 CPM.
Yeah. Okay. Even a $5 CPM. So 300 million organics, right? Wait, is that 300 billion? Yeah, that's 300 billion. Okay. Divided by 1,000 for CPMs. So 300,000 times 5. So basically $1.5 million in marketing at a $5 CPM based on all the organic views he gets.
Yeah. I did the math with if you ran a conversions campaign on Facebook, a penny a view, it's $3 million.
Yeah. The conversion, a penny a view. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's
insane.
Yeah, and I've got no idea. Look, like producing the content that he's producing is not free. It's like good quality content. It's really thoughtful.
He's tweeted about this. So he's got a team of 20 content creators that are in house, and then he uses a bunch of external people also. And he finds people. The way he finds them is he sees people who are making good content on TikTok, and he reaches out to them and says, "Hey, you're great at this. Make content for us." And so his average video costs about $300 to make.
And recently, he had a video where some guy was using a katana to like cut a bullet in half or something, right?
Yeah, that's right. Somebody fires a bullet from a gun, and they take a katana and try to cut the bullet in half while it's being fired at
That's
him.
crazy.
That's insane.
And apparently it took 10 tries to make that video. Only 10 tries.
Wow.
And on the 10th try, they were able to cut it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
That's insane.
I used to watch a bunch of archery videos on YouTube for no reason. And like the goal in archery is you shoot an arrow into like, a bullseye and it gets in the center. And then you got to shoot another arrow that splits your original arrow in half. Sounds like you've seen this as well, Solomon. Yeah,
you
like,
told me this.
Okay, I told you this already.
Why, I don't know. But you tell me this and I'm like, please keep this out of my brain.
But yeah, the goal of archery is you want to be able to split an arrow that you've already hit into a bullseye with another arrow in half. You want to split your original arrow in half with another arrow.
Wow.
And that's what that video reminded me of.
The other thing that's crazy to me about him is his number one metric is not, what's our revenue, what's our CAC, what's our repeat purchase rate. He doesn't care about any of that. He just cares about number of views and the amount of watch time. That is his number one metric. And he said his goal is to get to 1 billion of content views per month at the end of the year.
That's crazy.
First, that's like so many content views and so crazy that it's so achievable, frankly, because it's only 3 times the number that he's already getting. It also reminds me, you remember?
And, Mr. Beast does like 100 million views. So his content is, much longer form, but he does 100 million views per drop that he has of content.
So each video will get 100 million views on for Mr. Beast. Wow.
Yes. So a billion is a lot.
Yeah, no question, a billion is a lot. But you were talking about KPIs and organic views. It reminds me of that. When Facebook was launching, they were like, our number one goal is to get you to like 7 friends in 9 days or something like that. They're like, if you get to 7 friends in 9 days, you're going to use Facebook for the rest of your life. And so they like dropped every metric that they cared about except this KPI. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Was this like Chamath who was doing
this? I think was Chamath when he was on the growth team. Yeah, that would do this.
And so they were like, this is the metric that matters. We don't give a fuck about anything else. Get 7 friends in 9 days and you'll use Facebook forever.
You know what's amazing is TikTok always asks, every time I open TikTok, they're like, can we get access to your contact list? And I'm like, no, you will never get access to his contact list, except one day I will accidentally click OK and they will get access to it. And so they care so much about that they ask you every single time you open the app.
I'm surprised that Facebook doesn't ask you every single time you open the app, can we allow tracking across all of your apps with Facebook and give us permission for this thing? Like, I'm surprised Facebook doesn't make a lot more friction for that. Like, if I was like running Instagram and I'd be like, you have 5,000 Instagram followers, I'm going to show this to you every single time until you say yes. Because at some point, it's just going to get annoying and you're going to do it.
You're going to say yes to allowing tracking
across apps.
Yeah, I bet Apple would
stop you from doing that.
Yeah,
you can't do that every single time.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the mini Katana content, 2 things. One is they have this house that they've built out. You know how LA has all these content houses with TikTokers?
Yeah.
They've built a short form content creator house in Alabama. Dirt cheap.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. This is why their cost of video is so low. The other thing he does is he has a roster of script writers. So he pays low double digits per script of a video, and then some high percentage of those scripts he pays for actually get shot and posted.
Wow.
The other interesting thing is there's a ton of videos that just don't hit the first time around, and it just comes down to fixing the hook, which is actually the same thing for ads. Like your seconds, 2.5 seconds to 12 could be perfect. But if you miss the first 2.5 seconds, it's not going to get any engagement.
Of course, yeah.
The second interesting thing is I was at dinner with Isaac a few weeks ago in Austin. And somebody made a joke of like, oh, what if we come short on the revenue goal for Mini Katana? He was like, fuck it, I don't care. We'll just make some more videos. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
What's amazing is I bet he's learning way faster than all the ad content. People who are creating
100%.
content for ads. Yeah, so he's going to be better at creating content for ads than anyone else because he's making more content and knows what the hook is faster. Well, and he has a more direct connection to, he knows within 24 hours if the video is working or not.
And it still takes ads 72 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great point.
It's also just, he has so much volume that his feedback loop is so quick.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there isn't an ad agency that's like, we have a house in Alabama of content creators and is applying the same strategy to making video ads.
Well, Tube Science does this in LA. Like they have a massive warehouse office studio. I don't know what it is, but they run, I think they're the 4th or 5th largest spender as an agency on Facebook. Wow. And so they'll find something that does well for brand A and apply it to the other 57 brands they're managing.
Narrative does that as well. Yeah. And like they were one of the first guys to start building out like a content studio for video on Facebook. But I think, doing it in Alabama is way smarter because it's just going to cost you 1/10 the price.
Right.
And like, you're not going to have people who leave or don't churn really quickly. I also think that the genius of this is, certainly what he's doing, but it's also like the first guy who's gotten around ad restrictions by creating his own organic content. Like everyone else hires influencers. You're a CBD brand. You can't advertise on Facebook. So you just hire a bunch of influencers to speak about you. No one's like, what I'm going to do is spin out 4 million videos to get a bunch of views and build. Like he's not reliant on them. He's, he's making his own things, which is really amazing.
Yeah, that's nuts. Mr. Beast originally, when he was making video, would make videos that had a gun that he would shoot through, I think, a watermelon or something along those lines. And he would see how many watermelons could a bullet go through before it would stop.
Yeah.
And so he's making content with, weapons. And then once he got to a certain scale, Google reached out to him and said, hey, love what you're doing. Get rid of the weapons. Yeah. And then we're going to be able to distribute your content much more widely. And so that's why you see no weapons and no swearing. His stuff is like family PG. Friendly.
Yeah, PG. That's awesome. Good for him. Doug DeMuro is this like YouTuber that I follow a bunch who's talks about cars. And, he's been at this for a long time. And he's like, the way that he started, he's like, I was one of the first guys to go into CarMax and try and get he had a Ferrari and he's like, I want to get a quote on this Ferrari. Like, how much will you give me for this Ferrari? And CarMax is like, we'll buy your car no matter what. You don't have to buy a car from us. We'll buy your car. And so the max they could ever give was like $82,000 or something back then. Now it's a lot more. And so he just drove in and they're like, this is a Ferrari. They look at it, they drive it around. And then they're like, okay, we'll give you the max we can give you, which is $82,000. And he's like, well, this car's worth $150,000. So absolutely not. But it's really good content. And then he's like, everybody else in the car industry started doing the same thing.
Huh. That's so cool. Yeah. And Doug DeMuro just sold his business or I think a majority stake in the business to the Chernin Group. And he bought Porsche Carrera GT.
Yeah.
That I think he made a video about buying it. And I don't generally watch Doug DeMuro videos. And I watched this video because it's like a video of a man realizing his lifelong dream.
Yeah.
And making a YouTube video about it.
Yeah. He made a video of this Porsche Carrera 10 years ago. Yeah. And he's like, this is my favorite car. It costs $1 million.
Wow.
He sold his business. I think he got like $37 million in cash, $38 million. The car is probably worth it's probably $1.2, $1.5 million. He went out and bought it. And I'm a big Doug DeMuro fan. I really watch all of his videos actually. And he's the only guy I follow on YouTube. And he's driving it a ton. He's like, I just drove it 400 miles today, and I drove it through a sandstorm, and I'm driving it like on the beach. And he's like, this isn't $1 million car that will be worth $1 million when I'm done with it. He's like, this is $1 million car that'll be worth $500,000 when I'm done with it because I'm beating the fuck out of it because I'm enjoying it.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, he saw a Porsche Carrera GT in Denver in the middle of winter.
That's right. Yeah.
When he was in high school, and he was like, I saw a Porsche Carrera GT to his high school friends. They were like, there's no way somebody in Denver is rich enough to have one and is driving it in winter. And he was like, I bought a video camera or a camera the next day so that I could find it and show it to friends. So that's actually like the first content.
His career.
Yeah, that's the first piece of content that he ever made, was trying to find this Porsche Carrera GT in Denver.
Absolutely crazy. Okay, let's move on to another thing. That is a great. I love Doug DeMuro. He's so like humble, and like I've forced you to watch a couple of his videos.
Yeah.
And they're a ton of fun because he gets excited about like the microphone in a Honda Odyssey that'll talk to the people in the back, and that's a lot of fun. Okay, let's talk about let's talk about this thing right here, which is D2C brands have a weird relationship with Amazon.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask you about the mini Katana guy, which Isaac, what do you love about what he's doing, and what do you not like about what he's doing?
I love that he's basically creating his own marketing. He's creating a marketing strategy that has never existed before, which is I'm going to find a way to make cheap videos at a scale no one's ever imagined, and reject he's an iconoclast. He rejects the philosophy of you need a really nice production studio, really beautiful people, really nice equipment. He's like, I'm going to go do this in the middle of nowhere in Alabama and create a ton of content. And so I think that's really amazing. I think the thing that I don't like about it, it's not that I don't like about it, is that you can't run paid ads behind it. If you could flip on paid ads in the category that he was in, doing what he was doing, he would 20x his revenue in the next month. And so if I were him, I'd do exactly what I'm doing. If I were somebody who admires him today and didn't have a business, I would say, let me do what he's doing in a category where I can run paid ads behind it. So, if I have a TikTok video that got 10 million views, I can put paid ads behind it and it's got 250 million views.
Amazing. The only thing I would add to that is I would also pick a category that's not niche, that has mass appeal, so that when you're running those paid ads, your TAM, your total addressable market, is huge.
Yeah.
Everyone in America can buy the product versus a mini Katana. There's only so many people that will buy it.
Yeah. The other thing I really like, we were talking about Lumi deodorant for a while. Like, if you see the ads that Shannon runs on television, they're literally her speaking into an iPhone, with the only equipment she has is a ring light around her, and she's told me that. That's how I know that. Otherwise, there's literally no equipment. There's no script. She's just like, let me tell you about how I created this product. It's awesome. It's so genuine, and you see it on. You don't really see that type of stuff on television. And this is a woman who's like, the phone is this far away from her face. There's no background basically, and I really like.
It's great.
Yeah,
you get blind to ads on TV because they're so overproduced. Totally.
Yeah,
and so when you see somebody that's like, it looks like there's somebody FaceTiming with you through the TV, you pay attention.
Yeah. In fact, when we were thinking about running TV ads for native, I thought of two different things. One is literally just a white screen for like 29 seconds, especially if we're going to do a Super Bowl ad, with the last second just being like native, or like a QR code that took you to our website. Because everyone would be like, what the fuck is this thing that's happening on my television for 29 seconds? Who's doing this ad? And then the other thing I thought of was the exact opposite, which was just a logo and someone saying native for 30 seconds. And people would be like, what the fuck is this? The guys who I thought did a good job of this recently was Liquid Death, where they wrote like murderers for hire in New York City. Did you see that?
Yeah, on the post bills, right?
Yeah, when you're walking past that construction, they'd have posters up and they'd write murderers for hire, and that's it. And there'd be a QR code, and you're like, what is murderers for hire? And you click scan the QR code, and you were taking a Liquid Death's website, which is a really smart way to market. I love when people do that kind of stuff that's like so out of bounds. You're like, this is great.
Yeah.
There was actually a billboard today I saw that just said 9 out of 10 serial killers grew up drinking milk. And then underneath it said killermilk.com. And I think it's like a anti-dairy association pushing some message about no dairy.
Oh, I thought that was also going to be a Liquid Death ad.
I know, that's what I just pulled it up.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Anyways, last thing I wanted to say on Mini Katana, one thing that I think he did really well, and it just fits well with the modern consumption of content, is having something you can demonstrate. Like something you can something you can take to Costco Roadshow and sample on a table is probably a good product to run ads with.
Yeah, his is great because it's so user-friendly, it's so engaging on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I think that there might be a little bit of a paradox between something that's super engaging on TikTok and something that TikTok allows ads against. Because usually, I think Swords is amazing because you never see Swords. And then you're like, okay, this is awesome, but you understand why that they don't allow ads for Swords. Maybe that's true. I don't know if that's true or not.
One of the other things I saw Isaac talking about was slime. So slime is another example of something that's visual. It's mass market. It's easy to make a ton of videos around.
Yeah.
So I think that's another example of how you could take his strategy and apply it to a different product category.
Yeah. Okay, let me switch gears because we don't have that much time left. And let's talk about D2C brands on Amazon. Solomon, you wrote this segment and you wrote certain brands aren't on Amazon. Native never was. Another great example is Cuts. Cuts isn't on Amazon. When we weren't on, Mary Berry will admit this, and I don't mind saying this out loud. When we weren't on Amazon, Mary basically created a competitor deodorant, which, I gave her, I don't know if if I cared, I would have said something, but like she created a competitor deodorant and put it on Amazon. It wasn't the same formula. It was a different formula with different ingredients and different scents. And she's like, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that Native isn't on Amazon. And so she, the business grew, and I think it grew to like $500,000 in sales a month or something meaningful. Maybe it was $50,000. It was something like meaningful, I thought, at the time. And then once Native got onto Amazon, it sort of destroyed the business that they had built up because, she was basically buying up the Native keyword on Amazon and running ads against it and then taking those customers and getting them on Amazon. And I was never sure if it was the right move or not the right move to sell on Amazon. We never sold until post-sale. And the reason we didn't was actually repeat purchase rate. Are you smiling because you know what I'm about to say?
I'm smiling because I know what you might want to say. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Tell me what I want to say later on, or what you think. Though we didn't do it because of repeat purchase rate. I was like, our product sucks originally, so we need to. Not it sucks, but like we want to make it better. And so I was like, let's go find out what customers like about this product and customers don't like about this product. And so it gave us the ability to email them, and more importantly, it gave us the ability to run cohort analysis and be like, okay, this cohort is improving, which means this is a better formula. And if you were on Amazon, all of your data became gray right away, and you had no idea what repeat purchase rate looked like. And so that was really the reason that we didn't do it. Today, I'm not sure if that's the right answer.
I think you also didn't do it because you were like afraid of what the reviews were going to be like.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning, the Native formula wasn't great, and it got better and better over time as you iterated on the product. And so at the beginning, you were just like, if I put this on Amazon, it would get 3.5 stars.
And destroy the business.
And then people would see it on Amazon with 3.5 stars and not buy it on nativesUS.com.
That's right. Yeah. That's absolutely the case. And sort of, you're right. I was afraid of reviews and afraid of not understanding information so that I could produce a better product. Ironically now, Amazon has higher reviews for Native deodorant than Native's own website, which is kind of crazy. I'm not sure how I'm not sure how that's happened. Would not have happened if I were in.
I talked to the guy who started Bloom yesterday at Grow. And
Bloom is what, the flower company?
No, Bloom is the Athletic Greens
competitor.
Yeah. And so it's on our notes. I'm just putting the price here. He bought a full page Amazon takeover, and he paid over 7 figures for it. And he said his KPI or his ROAS, his KPI was not ROAS on a single day of sales. His KPI was the fact that Costco, Target, and Walmart all hit him up the next day and said, we need you in our stores. And now he's the only greens powder, and I think best-selling greens powder in Walmart.
Wow. Get the fuck out of here.
Which is crazy.
What a genius.
Yeah. I thought it was a really smart use of funds. I remember I'd done a few Yahoo takeovers, Yahoo Mail, like login screen takeovers. Yeah. If there was any remnant.
For hint?
Yeah. Remnant inventory there.
Wow.
And they used to do okay. Like, they had a pretty long attribution window, but this I thought was genius. I didn't know Amazon let you just buy the homepage.
I had no idea either.
Yeah. But I mean, it's really smart.
Yeah. I've seen Goalie take it over a bunch. I think you've seen that too.
Yeah.
They definitely let you do it. That's a really smart KPI. One of the things that when we were trying to sell into Target, we bought a bunch of billboards in Minneapolis at Native, and we're like, we want the buyers of deodorant to drive around being like, these guys are everywhere.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of Instagram ads specifically in Minneapolis, and I was like, I don't care, spend an extra $50 a day. I'm not looking, it wasn't a conversion campaign. It was brand awareness campaign where I was like, I just want eyeballs to see this. So every single time someone opens up an iPhone, they're like, what is this brand doing in the world? But in fact, it was just focused on Minneapolis. And I think there's even restaurants in Minneapolis, like the most expensive restaurant in Minneapolis is just brands taking out buyers to dinner, being like, we're going to go to this really fancy
It's got to be
place
the same for all like the towns around these headquarters,
right?
Like SC
Walmart,
Johnson, the Walmart, Bentonville, and the Minneapolis for Target. Yeah.
Have you ever been to Bentonville?
I've not. I've been to SC Johnson's town, and I thought it was
their town.
Their town, yeah. I think like 70% of the people in this town work at SC Johnson.
Yeah. What town is it?
It was somewhere Wisconsin. Racine, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it was very spooky. It was wintertime too, but it was like, you're either SC Johnson or, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
you work at McDonald's or you work at SC Johnson or, what are you doing?
Yeah. The when you go to the airport in Cincinnati, all of the ads in the airport are like EDI, basically systems to integrate CPG brands with retailers. That's because Kroger's there and so is P&G.
Yeah.
And so those are the ads at the airport, which are hilarious. And I've been to Bentonville and they've got the first Sam's Club ever that's called the 5 and Dime store. They still have the sign up. You can buy soft serve ice cream for a nickel still.
Wow.
Because they're like, we want to keep the original price. And then you can go take a tour of the back office of the Walmart and they still have Sam Walton's original office. You can see through the glass, but you can't go inside. Not obviously, but you can't go inside. But you can see Sam Walton's original office, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Okay. Well, anyway, tell me what you guys think of this. Should every brand that's on should every brand on Shopify be on Amazon or no?
I think
should Cuts?
I think Cuts should be on Amazon. I think
it doesn't hurt the brand.
I feel like it doesn't. I mean, worst case, you get probably better than average customer service. I don't know what you do with returns as a brand. If clothing is, your returns are 20 to 40% on average. So I don't know how that would be handled.
Yeah.
But I think if you're selling something, if you're spending money on ads and you're selling something that has decent mass appeal, you should be on Amazon because that's where a lot of people go to start their search.
Okay. What about what about Montclair? Should Montclair be on Amazon?
No.
Definitely not.
Okay.
But they're probably on Verishop, which is like the Amazon for rich people.
Yeah. There's some middle room between Amazon, being on Amazon and not being on Amazon. And so what is that? Canada Goose?
Luxury products should not be on Amazon for sure.
Canada Goose?
No.
They should not be on Amazon?
No, definitely not. It's a $1,000 jacket.
What about Super Puff?
No.
Really? That's a $300 jacket, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, $250, $300.
Why not? Why shouldn't they be on there?
I don't know. I feel like that's
Adam's shoes?
I don't know what Adam's? Probably not. Well, maybe actually.
They should. Yeah, definitely.
I think Adam's probably could.
Yeah, and my logic is, if you're spending a bunch of money on Facebook acquiring customers, for every $1 in ad spend that you spend, you could probably generate 20 cents, 10 cents in revenue on Amazon. Yeah, and so you're just leaving that on the floor.
Well,
yeah.
I've definitely seen it too, where usually Amazon, the 2 months after you have a big month on your own store will reflect your store's increase. So if you crushed March, then April and May will be really big on Amazon for you.
If you crushed March.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's some sort of a delayed response. If they're not going to buy it right away, they'll buy it later, but a lot of people tend to go to Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know what the stats are of for every $1 in e-commerce revenue, 25 cents is on Amazon or something like that. But
is that that's 25 cents is generated?
So let's say there's $1 trillion of e-commerce revenue in the United States per year. $250 million will be through Amazon.
Got it.
I don't know what the percentages are, but it's a very high percentage that's through Amazon. And I think there's a lot of people who are like, I can't go buy from all these random websites all the time.
For sure.
I just want to go to Amazon because I know that it's not a scam. I'll be able to get a refund if I want to. And I've already got my payment and address information in there.
Yeah, I think also convenience. For Valentine's Day, I sent my mom a flower from Venus at Fleur.
Yeah.
And it was,
one flower?
One rose.
Wow.
Okay, wow.
And,
love it. How much was that?
So it was $50.
$400.
No, 50. My mom would kill me. It was $50, but it arrived completely broken, absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah.
It took 30 seconds with an AI chatbot on Amazon to get a full refund.
You bought it off of Amazon?
Yeah, bought it off it because it shipped. It arrived the next day.
Wow.
I'll even when I go travel somewhere and I'm on vacation, I'm like, I want to buy this here, but let me just see because I'm in France at the Louvre and I see a hat and I'm like, cool, I want to buy this hat, but I don't have any space in my luggage. So let me see if I can buy it on Amazon and it'll be at my house when I arrive.
Right.
I think you're right about all of that. I think, you're right about all the stuff you said, which is when you should be on there.
Yeah. And I have one more comment, which is I think there's a ton of brands that will spend a bunch of money building a brand new category through Facebook ads, and then they won't capture the Amazon piece of the pie. And so that leaves room for a competitor to exist. Like, Athletic Greens. Yeah, Athletic Greens doesn't put their product on Amazon, so it gives space to Bloom to exist.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. I still think that there are times where brands shouldn't be on Amazon.
For sure.
And not just the Canada Gooses of the world, but I think that if you're trying to understand repeat purchase rate, if you're a new brand, and you're trying to work on product, basically I think if you're doing if you're a new brand, probably the first 6 months, you got to figure out your own stuff and figure out what ads work before you can get onto Amazon.
Yeah, for sure. If you're doing less than 10 or 20 million in revenue, you shouldn't be worried about Amazon. You should be worried about demand generation for your product and for your brand via Facebook ads.
Okay, I think we have to wrap up, although I wish we had more time to cover all this other stuff. But this is
we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on.